If you've bought a car in the last 5 years, chances are you've already been hit by at least 7 of these so-called modern features. And no, this isn't bad luck. It's the automotive industry completely losing its sense of priorities. In the name of cost-cutting and fake premium appeal, manufacturers have been stuffing cars with features that don't improve driving at all. In fact, they often make it worse. Driving becomes more frustrating, ownership more expensive, and basic maintenance a nightmare. These aren't accidents. They aren't oversights. They're deliberate design choices, made to protect profit margins, not drivers. So if you've ever sat in your driveway wondering why a brand new vehicle feels harder to live with than the old one you replaced, you're not imagining it. And if these following 8 fake upgrades frustrate you as much as they frustrate me, hit subscribe and stick around. If you've just bought a new car and opened the door, chances are you've been instantly captivated by the glossy piano black surfaces, from the center console and steering wheel to the door trims. In advertisements and showrooms, this interior finish gleams under the lights, reflecting everything around it and projecting a sense of luxury and premium quality. But the moment you hit the road and simply place your hand on the steering wheel or accidentally brush it with a cloth, that illusion completely collapses. Piano black is, in reality, nothing more than cheap ABS plastic coated with a glossy finish. The surface is so soft that even dust or natural oils from your fingers can leave permanent marks. It's not that you're careless. The problem is that the material itself is inherently fragile. The situation gets even worse when you discover the replacement costs, which are borderline absurd. A central trim panel on an Audi A6 can cost up to $850, while the actual manufacturing cost is only around $2. That number isn't just a maintenance expense, it represents an ongoing investment in materials that were never designed to last, actively hurting the car's resale value. On top of that, keeping the interior looking clean requires special detailing services, dedicated cleaning solutions, and careful techniques, something most owners would rather avoid entirely. So why do manufacturers stubbornly keep using piano black? The answer is simple: cost savings and showroom appeal. Instead of using real aluminum or brushed metal, they opt for cheap ABS plastic. The glossy coating makes the car look luxurious in promotional photos, satisfying marketing needs while ignoring real-world usability. Buyers are seduced by appearances, but after just a few weeks of ownership, the truth becomes obvious. You're paying for something that looks good on paper, but deteriorates quickly in real life. Imagine the moment you walk out of the showroom, your eyes drawn to a brand new Mercedes S-Class or BMW M760i, where shiny exhaust tips promise powerful sound and serious engine performance. Brochures and ads proudly highlight sporty quad exhaust systems, convincing you that you're behind the wheel of a truly muscular premium machine. But the reality? What you're looking at are fake exhaust tips, made of plastic or chrome plating, that aren't connected to the real exhaust system at all. The actual exhaust pipes are smaller, hidden underneath the car and pointed toward the ground, while the decorative tips are marketed as if they're the source of performance. You pay for the feeling of power, but what you get is a polished piece of plastic. This isn't an isolated case. The Mercedes S-Class, priced around $130,000, integrates fully fake chrome exhaust outlets into the rear bumper. The Audi RS6, around $105,000, and BMW M760i, around $165,000, follow the same pattern, with exhaust tips that look convincing enough to fool the eye but play no role in the exhaust system. From a cost perspective, a fake exhaust tip costs about $16 per unit, while a real, functional, visually appealing exhaust tip can cost up to $160 each. Using fake tips doesn't just cut costs, it also gives designers complete freedom to shape aggressive quad or sports-style layouts without dealing with real exhaust engineering. The result is simple. Manufacturers save money and create a false sense of luxury, while the actual driving experience gains absolutely nothing. This is a feature that's becoming increasingly common on most new cars. And to be honest, for mechanics like us, it's one of the worst ideas out there. Instead of familiar physical buttons, you're faced with a smooth, flat control surface with capacitive touch buttons. Modern, seamless, and premium in brochures and advertisements. On paper, the idea sounds great. A clean, minimalist cabin, light taps for every function, and a design that also helps manufacturers cut costs. But the real-world experience is far from smooth. Touch controls often fail to respond or trigger the wrong function, forcing you to look down more often just to make sure your input actually registered, significantly increasing driver distraction. On cold winter days, your gloves become useless, meaning you can't adjust volume or temperature without taking them off. On top of that, haptic feedback is weak and inconsistent, leaving drivers unsure whether a function has been activated at all. The real-world data is even more alarming. Roughly 23–31% of touch inputs fail to perform the intended function, and when wearing gloves, the failure rate is 100%. A simple task like adjusting temperature via a touchscreen takes an average of 24 seconds, compared to just 3 seconds with physical buttons. As a result, drivers are far more likely to be distracted because they have to look down to interact with the screen. This creates potential risks on the road. In many places, using a phone while driving is considered illegal. Yet now manufacturers are effectively building cars that require drivers to interact with a touchscreen display. At that point, how is it any different from using an iPad while driving? Of course, manufacturers have their reasons. A standard physical button costs about $3.50, while a capacitive touch button costs only around $0.80. With roughly 30 buttons per vehicle, that adds up to nearly $80 in savings per car. On top of that, the cabin looks modern, seamless, and easy to photograph, perfect for showroom marketing. Some brands even turn this problem into an extra revenue stream. BMW sells touchscreen-compatible gloves for around $95, conveniently solving the issue while making additional profit. Sit in the driver's seat, press the start button, and listen. The sound filling the cabin feels powerful, aggressive, and sporty. Exactly the kind of noise that makes you believe you're controlling a serious machine. With many modern cars today, that's precisely what manufacturers want you to believe. The problem is, what you're hearing isn't the engine, it's just speakers. In the automotive world, this trick goes by many technical-sounding names. BMW calls it active sound design, Volkswagen calls it sound actor, and Ford uses sound symposer. But the reality is much simpler. The car's audio system plays artificial engine noise, pre-programmed to sound louder, deeper, and far more performance-oriented than the engine actually is. Buyers, especially American customers who've long associated engine sound equals power, are led to believe that what they hear accurately reflects what's happening under the hood. Take the BMW M235i as an example. Inside the cabin, you hear the sound of a full-bodied 6-cylinder engine. In reality, under the hood sits a 4-cylinder engine. The missing 2 cylinders come from the speakers. With Volkswagen, the sound actor system generates engine noise that changes with speed and throttle input, sounding convincing but having no real connection to actual mechanical movement. The Ford Mustang EcoBoost goes even further. Its sound symposer is marketed as a system that channels real intake noise into the cabin. But once you break it down, what you're still getting is synthesized sound played through speakers. The issue here isn't just that it's fake, it's that it's directly misleading. Drivers believe they're hearing the engine of the car they paid for, that the excitement comes from real mechanical engineering. In reality, they're experiencing a sound effect designed to trick their senses. It doesn't make the car faster or improve performance, but it can cause drivers to misjudge the vehicle's true capabilities, something that's far from harmless when driving at high speeds. So, why do manufacturers do this? The answer lies in psychology. Decades of research show that people associate deep, loud, aggressive sounds with power, quality, and performance. Instead of investing in a proper engine or exhaust system, which is expensive, manufacturers choose a much cheaper solution: speakers. It's flexible in design, easy to tune for different driving modes, and, most importantly, perfect for marketing. Ads sound better, test drive videos feel more exciting, and production costs are significantly lower. Over the past few years, gloss black wheels have almost become a kind of mandatory visual language in today's car market. From German sedans and luxury SUVs to vehicles branded as high-performance models, Glossy black wheels are everywhere, polished to perfection and gleaming under showroom lights. They look aggressive, sharp, and most importantly, they look expensive, at least in the moment when you're standing a few feet away from the car at the dealership. As a result, buyers are naturally led to a very reasonable expectation. Glossy wheels are a symbol of premium quality. Something that looks good, is easy to maintain, and will retain that upscale appearance over time, at least in proportion to the amount of money they paid. The problem is, that expectation usually exists only in the showroom. Once the car hits real roads, the story starts to change. After just the first few miles, gloss black wheels begin to reveal their true nature. They don't just show dirt, they practically put everything on display. Brake dust, rainwater, mud, even a few tiny pebbles are enough to ruin the once perfect glossy surface. In places like California, Texas, or the Northeast, where weather conditions, road grime, and brake dust are daily realities, wheels can look tired after just a short drive. Cleaning them is nowhere near as simple as the marketing quietly suggests. A regular car wash isn't enough. To keep the shine, owners need to clean the wheels almost weekly, using dedicated products, soft towels, and a process so careful it becomes slightly stressful. One small mistake is all it takes for swirl marks, water spots, or dull patches to appear. And once they're there, they're almost impossible to fully remove. Worse still, the glossy finish deteriorates quickly. Brake dust is corrosive, especially on performance-oriented vehicles. After just a few thousand miles, the wheels start to dull, spot, and lose that original premium look. The car may drive perfectly fine, mechanically sound in every way, but a quick glance at the wheels is enough to make it feel like the car no longer lives up to the image it once promised. Many detailers in the US talk about this very bluntly. Some customers come back not because the car is dirty, but because of the glossy wheels alone. On average, a single cleaning and restoration session for gloss black wheels costs between $120 and $160. And this isn't a one-time, when-needed expense, it's a recurring cost, month after month, if you want the wheels to look anything like they did when the car was new. Fake carbon fiber is one of the most subtle tricks in the modern automotive industry because it doesn't target speed or horsepower. It targets the American buyer's psychology of, "I'm paying for something premium." Carbon fiber has long been associated with the high-performance world. Lightweight, strong, expensive, and rooted in motorsports. So when buyers walk into a showroom and see carbon trim on the dashboard, door panels, mirror caps, or interior and exterior accents, many naturally assume they're touching a special material worthy of the price tag. But the truth is, in most cases, what you're looking at isn't carbon fiber at all. It's plastic printed with a carbon-style pattern, topped with a glossy coating designed to fool the eye. There are no woven carbon strands, no three-dimensional depth, and none of the mechanical properties of real carbon fiber. The problem is that this fake feeling doesn't take seconds to reveal itself. It takes just a few years of real-world use. Under strong sunlight, especially in hot climate states like California, Arizona, or Florida, the printed carbon pattern begins to fade. The glossy clear coat gradually turns yellow and loses clarity, making what was once advertised as sporty and high-tech look like cheap trim that has aged poorly. Durability is another major weakness. Compared to real carbon fiber, printed plastic has far lower resistance to scratches and wear. After a period of use, especially on interior pieces that are frequently touched, the surface becomes dull, lightly scratched, and loses its original premium feel. The car may still run perfectly, but the interior starts to feel cheaper than the price you paid. This doesn't just affect owner satisfaction, it directly impacts vehicle value. When the interior fails to maintain its upscale appearance over time, the luxury car perception fades quickly, and that translates directly into lower resale value. In a practical market like the US, where used car buyers scrutinize every detail, yellowed or faded carbon trim rarely leaves a good impression. Electronic door handles were once introduced as a symbol of the future. Flat, clean, automatically popping out when you approach the car, and disappearing completely once the vehicle starts moving. In U.S. showrooms, this detail looks extremely convincing. The body appears more seamless, the lines look cleaner, and the entire car instantly gives off a high-tech vibe. However, in real-world use, electronic door handles are among the most failure-prone components on modern vehicles. That's because they combine everything a door handle doesn't really need: small motors, sensors, wiring, control modules, and a housing that constantly moves. If just one component fails, the handle becomes nothing more than an expensive decorative piece. Winter weather is a brutal test. In northern states like New York, Michigan, or Minnesota, electronic door handles can freeze and refuse to deploy. When that happens, the so-called high-tech solution, shared by many owners, turns out to be surprisingly simple. Pour warm water over the handle or wait for the weather to get warmer. Even bigger problems arise when the vehicle loses power or the battery is weak. Electronic door handles rely entirely on the electrical system. When there's no power, the doors may not open from the outside at all. On many models, the emergency mechanical release is either well hidden or simply not user-friendly. In normal situations, this is already frustrating. In an emergency, it becomes a genuine safety risk. The BMW i8 is a frequently cited example. In certain emergency situations, when the electronic door handles fail, extracting occupants has required going through the windshield. It's a scenario no one wants to imagine, but it exposes a core issue. When technology is prioritized over reliability, seemingly small design choices can have serious consequences. Even under normal use, repair costs are enough to make many owners shake their heads. Replacing a single electronic door handle can cost anywhere from $450 to $900, depending on the model and dealership. By comparison, a traditional mechanical door handle usually costs just a few dozen dollars and can function reliably for years. After hearing that, do you still want a car with a futuristic design? Let us know in the comments below. Start-stop systems were introduced to American consumers as a smart and responsible step forward. The car stops at a red light, the engine shuts off. You release the brake, and the engine starts again. In brochures, it's portrayed as fuel-saving, environmentally conscious, and technologically advanced. A small change promised to have little impact on driving experience while helping you do your part. However, many drivers argue that start and stop systems simply don't fit the way they use their cars every day. In dense urban traffic, with the familiar stop-and-go conditions of Los Angeles, New York, or Chicago, the engine shuts off and restarts constantly. And every single time, the mechanical burden falls on the starter motor, the battery, and the dual-mass flywheel. These are not components designed to be punished tens of thousands of times in a short period. The result is significantly accelerated wear compared to cars without start-stop. Mechanics tend to say the same thing. Starters and batteries on vehicles with start-stop age much faster than their actual mileage would suggest. And when they fail, the repair bill looks anything but fuel efficient. In reality, replacing a starter on midsize and luxury sedans can cost between $1,200 and $1,500, not including labor. These figures have been documented on high-mileage service vehicles. On top of that, you often can't disable the system permanently. On many newer models, the BMW 3 Series being a prime example, the start-stop system automatically reactivates every time you start the car. To turn it off, you have to press the button again each time. It's a small detail, but enough to make many American drivers feel like they're no longer the one deciding how their car operates. And when frustration reaches its peak, the aftermarket steps in with a solution. Start-stop disable modules are sold for around $200 to $400. In other words, you buy an expensive car, are forced to use a feature you don't like, and then have to pay extra just to turn it off. A remarkably smooth profit loop, and the person paying at both ends is still the customer. Looking back at all 8 features discussed above, one common theme becomes clear. The modern automotive industry is increasingly out of balance between profit and real user experience. What was once marketed as convenience, premium, or future technology often turns into features that cause frustration, reduce durability, increase ownership costs, and leave drivers feeling like they paid for. A feeling rather than real value. So what about you? Which modern car feature annoys you the most every time you're behind the wheel? And if you had the choice again, would you be willing to reject it even if the car looked more modern without it? Share your experience in the comments. Finally, this video is for educational purposes only, drawing from public sources, vehicle manuals, and general automotive research. It is not intended to criticize or promote any specific brand. Always double-check information, follow your vehicle manufacturer's recommendations, and make maintenance decisions carefully. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.